Jessica Radcliffe. The name likely doesn't ring a bell for most, unlike perhaps, say, Dawn Broncho, but her story, equally compelling and tragic, is a vital part of understanding the complex relationship between humans and orcas in captivity. Forget the sanitized, splashy image SeaWorld sold for years. Let's delve into the life of a woman whose dreams intertwined so intimately with these magnificent creatures, ultimately leading to a devastating end. From a young age, Jessica was captivated by the ocean. Weekends spent glued to nature documentaries, family trips to the aquarium. Her fascination with marine life was undeniable. But it wasn't just a passing childhood phase. While other kids dreamed of being astronauts or doctors, Jessica's heart belonged to the orcas, the apex predators of the sea, whose intelligence and power both awed and inspired her. She devoured every book, every article, every scrap of information she could find about them. She knew their scientific classifications, their social structures, their hunting techniques. For Jessica, orcas weren't just animals. They were individuals, each with their own personality and unique story, and she was determined to become a part of their world, or at least as close as she could get. That ambition led her to SeaWorld. It was the only place, she believed, where she could truly connect with these incredible animals. She started small, working in the guest services department, cleaning up after shows, answering questions from eager tourists. But every moment she wasn't on shift, she was at the Orca Stadium, watching the trainers, absorbing their techniques, learning the subtle cues and signals that governed their interactions with the whales. It was grueling work. Years of dedication, of early mornings and late nights, of proving herself capable and trustworthy. But Jessica persevered, fueled by her unwavering passion. Slowly but surely, she climbed the ranks, from cleaning crew to apprentice trainer, finally earning her place in the water with the orcas. SeaWorld became her life. She poured her heart and soul into her work, spending countless hours building relationships with each whale. She learned their individual quirks, their preferences, their moods. She knew who loved a good belly rub, who was always up for a game of fetch, and who preferred a more gentle, respectful approach. And then there was Orca. Not the original Orca, of course, the star of the Free Willy movie, but a younger Orca that had taken the name. Orca, a powerful male, quickly became Jessica's primary focus. Their bond was undeniable. They seemed to understand each other on a level that transcended words. Jessica trusted Orca implicitly, and in turn, Orca seemed to respond to her with a unique level of affection and respect. Their performances were captivating. The audience would gasp as Jessica rode Orca through the water, as he launched her high into the air, as they danced together in perfect synchronicity. It was a spectacle of skill and trust, a testament to the power of the human-animal bond. Or so it seemed. Jessica was fully aware of the risks involved. She knew the statistics. She knew the stories. She knew that orcas, even those raised in captivity, were still wild animals with immense power and unpredictable instincts. Accidents happened. Trainers had been injured, even killed. But Jessica believed that her training, her expertise, and her deep connection with the orcas would protect her. She understood the importance of respect, of vigilance, of never taking anything for granted. She followed the safety protocols to the letter, always mindful of the potential dangers. She justified the captivity, at least in her own mind, by believing she was contributing to conservation efforts, educating the public, and providing the orcas with a stimulating environment and top-notch care. She told herself that she was making a difference, that she was helping people to understand and appreciate these magnificent creatures. She wouldn't have been the only one clinging to those ideas, and many would have believed them wholeheartedly. Her eyes, the rewards outweighed the risks. The joy of working with orcas, the thrill of performance, the satisfaction of building such a profound connection with these intelligent creatures. It was all worth it. She knew the risks. She accepted them, or so she thought. The sun dawned bright that morning over Orlando, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. It was a deceptively serene start to what would become an unforgettable day, a day etched in infamy within the marine park community. For Jessica Radcliffe, it began just like any other. The familiar scent of salt water hung heavy in the air as she made her way to the orca enclosure, a steaming mug of coffee warming her hands. Jessica's life revolved around these magnificent creatures. Years of dedication, countless hours studying their behavior, and an undeniable passion had earned her the coveted position of senior trainer and orca. Orca was special, a powerful bull, known for his intelligence and surprisingly gentle demeanor. With Jessica, or so it seemed, the morning air vibrated with the anticipation of the first training session. Jessica ran through her mental checklist, ensuring every detail was perfect. Safety protocols, communication signals, reward system. Everything had to be precise when dealing with an animal as massive and intelligent as Orca. As she approached the pool, she spotted Orca gliding effortlessly through the water, his sleek black body a stark contrast to the turquoise depths. He surfaced, his intelligent eyes meeting hers, a familiar sight that always brought a smile to Jessica's face. "Good morning, big guy," she said, her voice carrying over the water. Orca responded with a low rumble, a sound that resonated deep within her. It was a language they both understood, a symphony of subtle cues and responses built on years of trust. The session began with simple exercises, a review of previously mastered behaviors. Orca executed each command with precision, leaping, diving, and vocalizing on cue. Jessica praised him enthusiastically, rewarding his efforts with handfuls of fish and affectionate rubs on his massive head. The dynamic between them appeared flawless. To onlookers, it was a testament to the power of positive reinforcement and the unique bond between humans and animals. Jessica would later note that Orca's behavior was exemplary, with no indication he'd act unpredictably. The truth is that no one knows what really occurs within the vast mind of an orca. They transitioned to more complex routines, intricate sequences of synchronized movements that showcased Orca's athleticism and Jessica's skill as a trainer. Each interaction seemed calculated, a testament to the hours they had spent building trust. Jessica never forgot the inherent risks, the power, the instinct that lay dormant beneath the surface of even the most well-trained orca. But she believed in their bond, in the mutual respect that had grown between them. That belief would be shattered in a matter of moments. The final act of the session involved a platform exercise, where Jessica would stand on a submerged platform and Orca would perform a series of close passes, showcasing his immense size and grace. It was a crowd favorite, a breathtaking display of coordination and trust. As Jessica stepped onto the platform, she gave Orca a final hand signal, a cue to initiate the first pass. He responded as expected, swimming towards her with increasing speed, but something was different this time. There was a subtle shift in Orca's demeanor, a tension in his movements that Jessica couldn't quite decipher. His eyes, usually soft and focused, seemed to harden. a flicker of something primal lurking within their depths. Before she could react, before she could even fully register the change, Orca surged forward, his immense body breaking the surface with explosive force. It wasn't the controlled pass she anticipated. This was something else, something violent, something malevolent. The attack was swift and brutal. Orca slammed into the platform, knocking Jessica off balance. She instinctively reached out, trying to regain her footing, but his powerful jaws clamped down on her torso. A collective gasp swept through the observing trainers. What started as a training session had instantaneously transformed into a horrifying scene of unimaginable violence. Jessica screamed, a primal cry of terror that echoed across the water. The sound was cut short as Orca dragged her beneath the surface, the churning water turning crimson with her blood. The world became a maelstrom of chaos and fear. The other trainers reacted instantly, their years of training kicking in. Emergency protocols were initiated. Sharp whistles pierced the air, recall signals blasted from loudspeakers. Nets were deployed, frantically stretched across the pool in a desperate attempt to separate Orca from Jessica. But it was too late. Orca, fueled by an unknown rage, thrashed violently beneath the surface, his immense power making any intervention futile. He tossed Jessica around like a rag doll, his jaws tearing at her flesh. The water became a swirling vortex of blood and despair. The trainers watched in horror, their faces etched with disbelief and terror. They shouted commands, pleaded with Orca, anything to break his fixation. But he was deaf to their pleas, lost in a frenzy of violence that defied all. Reason.time seemed to slow to a crawl as the unthinkable unfolded before their eyes. Each second stretched into an eternity of pain and terror. The once familiar and predictable world of SeaWorld had become a nightmare, a grotesque tableau of life and death. After what felt like an eternity, Orca finally released Jessica, her lifeless body floating to the surface. The water around her was stained crimson, a stark reminder of the brutality that had just transpired. The trainers rushed to retrieve her, their hands trembling as they pulled her limp form from the water. Her body was broken, battered, and unrecognizably mangled. The vibrant, passionate Jessica Radcliffe was gone, a victim of the very animal she had dedicated her life to understanding and protecting. The unthinkable had happened. The trust had been broken, and the consequences would reverberate far beyond the walls of SeaWorld, forever changing the way the world viewed the relationship between humans and captive orcas. The world stopped turning for a little while after. February 24th, 2010. The immediate aftermath of Jessica Radcliffe's death was a whirlwind of grief, investigation, and, ultimately, a reckoning for SeaWorld. The initial hours were dominated by shock. How could this happen? How could a seemingly routine interaction with an animal Jessica knew and loved end in such a horrific tragedy? The park was immediately closed. Yellow tape cordoned off the Shamu Stadium, a stark visual representation of the horror that unfolded within. Counselors were brought in to support the devastated staff, many of whom had witnessed the attack firsthand. The close-knit community of trainers, bonded by their shared passion and inherent risks of their profession, now had to confront the unthinkable loss of one of their own. An investigation was launched immediately by both SeaWorld and external agencies. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, took the lead, meticulously reviewing safety protocols, interviewing witnesses, and examining Orca's history. Every aspect of Jessica's training methods, the park's safety measures, and Orca's behavioral records were scrutinized. The investigation uncovered a history of incidents, near misses, and warnings that had been seemingly downplayed or ignored. Reports surfaced of trainers expressing concerns about Orca's unpredictable behavior, his immense size and power, and the inherent risks of close contact. The results of the Orca investigation were damning. SeaWorld was cited for multiple safety violations, including failing to adequately protect its employees from known hazards. The most significant outcome was a new ruling that effectively banned trainers from entering the water with orcas during performances. This single regulation fundamentally altered the dynamic of the shows, marking a clear shift away from the intimate in-water interactions that had been a hallmark of SeaWorld's performances for years. The impact on SeaWorld was profound. Public perception, once overwhelmingly positive, began to shift. Attendance declined. Protests erupted outside the parks, fueled by animal rights activists, and a growing chorus of voices questioning the ethics of keeping orcas in captivity. The release of documentaries like Black Waters further intensified the scrutiny, exposing the psychological toll of captivity on these highly intelligent and social creatures. The film presented a compelling narrative of orcas suffering from stress, boredom, and aggression, arguing that confinement contributed to unpredictable and dangerous behavior. The ethical debates surrounding orca captivity exploded into the mainstream. The question of whether the entertainment value of marine parks outweighed the welfare of the animals became a central point of contention. Animal rights organizations argued that orcas, with their complex social structures and vast ocean ranges, were simply not suited for life in concrete tanks. They advocated for the release of captive orcas into sanctuaries where they could live out their lives in a more natural environment. SeaWorld, on the other hand, defended its practices, arguing that its parks played a vital role in marine conservation, education, and rescue efforts. They emphasized the care and enrichment provided to their orcas, claiming that the animals thrived in their environment. What became of Orca, the animal at the heart of this tragedy? He was never euthanized, despite public outcry from some corners. Instead, he was largely withdrawn from public performances and spent his remaining years in a smaller, less prominent tank. He became a symbol of the complex and often tragic relationship between humans and captive marine life. He lived out his days at SeaWorld, a constant reminder of the events of that fateful day. He eventually passed away, leaving behind a legacy of controversy and unanswered questions. Jessica Radcliffe's death served as a catalyst for change, while SeaWorld implemented stricter safety protocols and eventually phased out its orca shows. The broader conversation about the ethics of marine parks continues to this day. Her story forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about the impact of captivity on these magnificent creatures, and to question the long-held assumptions about our relationship with the natural world. Was the thrill of witnessing these animals up close worth the cost of their freedom and well-being? Was the educational value of marine parks outweighed by the psychological damage inflicted upon the animals they held captive? Jessica dedicated her life to these amazing animals. She passionately wanted people to connect with orcas, hoping they would learn to value them. In a cruel twist of fate, her death achieved that goal, but in a way she never intended. Her legacy lies not only in her love for orcas, but also in the profound shift in public perception. She inadvertently sparked a shift towards greater awareness, greater empathy, and a renewed commitment to protecting the well-being of these incredible creatures. It's a legacy of silent questions, of lasting scars, and of a profound respect for the delicate balance between human ambition and the wild heart of the ocean.